Hey, less lethal people. So, tonight I had another video planned for you guys, but I will be redoing it. It was a practice video on training with your pistol launcher. So there's so many videos I want to do and talk about a lot of things. And one of the things I want to talk about tonight is now that you got your less lethal launcher, what do you do? So I was always one of those guys, and we're all guilty of this. It doesn't matter what your hobby is, whether it's less lethal, whether it's motorcycles, whether it's guns, whether it's like me, reptile snakes. I like snakes. I'd always want the next one. Before you even get home, you're thinking about the next one. So I kind of switched and started to think about, well, that's not really where I have to be. I have to really get the best benefit out of the one or the ones that I have, and how can I maximize my experience and not seek that adrenaline rush to get the next one, but to really appreciate the one I have and learn how to use it the right way. And what do I need that goes along with my less lethal launcher? So first thing I could tell you is you need your less lethal launcher. I personally like a pistol over but I'm a pistol guy. That's it. Even for, everyday thing. I don't hunt, so I don't have any rifles. I'm not really an AR guy. I know a lot of guys in the 2A community would give me, flack about that. It's just for my scenario, my situation, and my lifestyle, I just don't need that. I am a pistol guy. I like to conceal carry. I like to have things on my person where I can always protect myself. And that's where this video is going to lead into. What do you need? So, believe it or not, I don't have any firearm rifles at all, or long guns. I only have less lethal ones, because I'm just not a long gun guy, not a rifle guy. But now you have your less lethal launcher. Doesn't matter. Salt Supply S2, Burner, Grimberg, whatever you chose, and for whatever reason. Or maybe you have that and you really can't afford the next one, that maybe you want something else, but the one you have drew your attention first for a reason. And the one you have is excellent because it's the one you have, and it's better than not having any other one. So the first thing you need is a good holster for that less lethal launcher. Okay? You need a good holster for it for many reasons. One is to carry it, one is to protect it. You need a good holster. Next, you need the right belt for it. You need a gun belt. You can't use a belt from Walmart. You can't use a belt from Macy's. They're not designed to take the weight pulling on them, and it's going to make it very uncomfortable for you to carry that less lethal launcher. And even if you live in a place where you can't carry it outdoors, you're still going to carry it on you while you train and practice, whether that being in your house or in your backyard or wherever. So you need a good belt. Next thing you need the air source. If you're using something that uses CO2, stock up on some CO2. Get yourself a box of 100 CO2 cartridges, I guess, or whatever they are, CO2 capsules. Get yourself a bunch of 100 of them at least to start off with. This way you have them. Also, in case there's a shortage, you can always practice. They're not something that ever goes bad. They're always, they always stay good. You need projectiles, obviously. How many projectiles do you need? Well, you need a self-defense projectile. You need a training projectile. So, and if you're going to use chemical, you also need chemical projectiles. All right, depending where you live and what you like to carry. I'm a big chemical guy. I love chemicals because, it's very hard to fight the chemical. So I would get a good 100 self-defense and a good 100 training rounds. Okay, for training, I either use these Duke glass breakers or the Salt Supply, whatever they're branded as. And I also use the home wreckers. I buy the home wreckers. They're like $30 for 100 of them. And they're great. It's a very affordable price. They're reusable. Now, for the self-defense, what do I use? I use the Jewel V3s. I use that in my M17. I use that in my salt supply. That's what I use. I use it in the HDB 68 and so on and so forth. I like the Jewel V3s. I also, in my M17, I have a ton of BK Kinetics. They are the best shape projectile, hands down. I don't care what anybody says. So the BK Kinetics are good also. So you need a good practice round. You need a good self-defense round. And if you're doing chemicals, now, how many chemical rounds do you need? Well, believe it or not, you don't need all that many. So what I do is I have a pack of the Duke tear gas, and I have the Duke Extreme. I just brought these out with you just for reference to show you. The Duke tear gas, which is the CS, and I have the Duke Extreme pepper balls. You have 25, 30 of them, of each one. Chances of you using them are pretty nil. And if you do, you're probably going to be using less than 5 or 10. That's just the way it is. That's the statistic. And for most self-defense, I mean, unless you're in an area where they're rioting and they're looting and you're out there, you know, keeping crowds away from you, which I don't think that's the case. I would say that's 99.999% not the case. So you just need 2 packs. So now you're pretty much set up, right? Those are the things that you need. The other thing you need is a target or a trap for the target. Whether you build one or you buy one, you need a trap because you have to practice. And even if you're a 2A guy, practicing is very important. And if you can't get to the range all the time, thank God for less lethal, because you could practice at home. And it very much simulates the using a firearm as well. A lot of guys have those T4E trainers, the Walther, the Glock 1, etc., the .43 caliber ones. They're great for training. So you need to have a trap or something to shoot at. I would invest time. I won't even say the money, because it's not that expensive to make yourself a trap. Go on Facebook Marketplace for one of those blue barrels, those food grade barrels, and just get them. I even saw them, actually I saw these big ones for sale at the supermarket. I don't know why they were selling empty ones at the supermarket, but they were a little pricey at the supermarket. But you could find them. I got mine for like $5 or $10 off of Facebook Marketplace. I cleaned it out, I just cut it out, and I made myself a target, a trap. Make yourself a trap that you could not lose the practice rounds, and you can reuse them. That's important too. So now you have everything that you possibly really need to get going. And that stuff is more important than running out and getting your next launcher. What good is keep buying launchers if you're not proficient with the launcher that you already have? Now, what is good to shoot from your launcher? Anything that will stop the person that is attacking you. Well, what will stop the person? Believe it or not, I was watching some videos the other day of guys getting hit with 9mm 3-4 times, and they kept coming. So people will say, well, that's not, this isn't the movies, guys. You don't shoot somebody with a bullet once all the time and they just drop right there. It's not like bang, they're down. There's adrenaline flowing. They do keep coming. And that's why when people say, well, if I have less lethal, that's not going to stop. Yeah, they might still keep coming with less lethal. They will keep coming with the real bullet too, depending on the person. It's there as a tool to help you do the next thing. What is the next thing? Either A, hit the person several times with it and get away, or hit them with it in the right areas where you have taken some senses away from them, or you have taken some ability away from, so you now have the edge in case you have to engage in some hand-to-hand combat with that person. All right, so whatever projectile you use has to be able to slow down significantly or stop the person. That's why I usually choose the chemical rounds, because I know I'm inhibiting the person's senses. Once I take their eyesight away, or I take it away drastically, even if they could still see, because I had to go through a pepper spray course, and I was sprayed in the eyes, and afterwards I had to take down a person who they were wrapped up in like a padded suit. So we had to get pepper sprayed for 5 seconds in the eyes, then run after the person in the suit, take them down, and handcuff them. We all did it. However, I will say the person who was in the padded suit, not only did they have lack some mobility because they were in a padded suit, they knew we had to do it for a training, and they were kind of helpful to us. They weren't as resistant. Doing it blind without being able to see, if they wanted to hurt me, they could have really taken advantage of me, because I was in so much pain and it was so hard to see, I wouldn't have been able to block everything. So I put myself in the shoes of the person who I would possibly pepper spray. I would have a tremendous advantage over them physically if I took their sight away like that. So chemical rounds are something really to think about if you're not already using them, and if you are allowed to use them in the state that you're in. So I see a lot of internet cowboys out there screaming, these are toys, they're useless, blah, blah, blah. I had a discussion the other day with an attorney, and I think I mentioned it in one of my other videos. He was, or I mentioned it to somebody online, I forget who, but anyway, he's dealing with the case now where it was a justified shooting. And even though it was a justified shooting, he said the same thing. There's $1 million civil lawsuit. What do you do? Less lethal, guys, is the way to go. I'm telling you. Granted, it's not for every case, but it's going to be for most of them. And in the way that this whole world is shifting politically and legally, even if they made them illegal, you will still have a better chance using something less lethal when it comes to facing a judge or a jury than you will using something lethal. No doubt in my mind. Also, too, they're not registered yet. There's no way of telling where the projectile came out of or which launcher it came out of. It's a no-brainer. And I think as people go on and they see the heinous punishments that can come from using something lethal, even if they are justified, just the monetary devastation that can be done to your livelihood, losing houses, having to pay millions. If you can't afford this, what do? It's horrible. But when you're using less lethal, you're kind of removing that. So it's something you guys all have to think about out there. But less lethal, I'm a big advocate of it, as you know, for now. And I try to steer everybody in that direction. And I do think that we don't have to be so concentrated on buying and buying and buying. I think we got to take what we have, make the best of the ones we have, practice, train, and get all the equipment we need. The other thing is lights. I personally don't use a light underneath my launcher. Okay, nothing wrong if you do. I prefer the handheld flashlight. Okay, I prefer this method. I also prefer this method. It's the FBI method, where you hold the light up here away from your body. This way, at least if somebody does have something, they choose to usually aim at the light. Not usually. I'm a little nervous with the light right in front of my vital areas, because that's where the person would probably shoot at least that's what we were trained to believe. So I like the flashlight, but there's nothing wrong. If you want to put a light on your weapon, that's perfectly fine. A laser, that's another really good thing to invest in. Lastly, I want to show you something really cool I got. I went to the store the other day to buy those targets to do the chemical testing. And I went there and I went to pay for it with my debit card. And they're like, no, there's a minimum. You need $10 more to spend. So I was like, all right, I'll come back. And as I said that, I turned to me and I saw something on the counter that I always wanted. Now, some of you may know what it is, some of you may not. It's a little pocket knife that is from the 1800s. It was made in France. It's called an Opinel. Very, very popular. It only changed once since the late 1800s. It changed in the 1950s, where they put this little clasp or this little lock on here. So basically, you can lock it. Now, this is not a tactical knife. They are super sharp. They're probably the sharpest knife that comes from the factory. And there's a little clasp so you can't open it. It's not something you're going to take out and whip out and use to protect yourself. It's something you're going to use as a tool. And you twist it. Now it's unlocked, and you can open it, and you lock it into place again. So it's locked now. Very, very cool old knife from the 1800s. If you get a chance to look up Opinel, look them up on YouTube, whatever. There's a really nice history about it and about the guy who invented it back in the late 1800s. And it's a really cool thing. They even make cutlery now for the house and stuff. Super light, super durable. It's just a really cool piece to have. And try to check out the history on it, but I was so excited to get one. I was going to order them online, but it's one of those things, they're like $20, $15. So you're like, I'll order it, and you just never order it. Well, I'm so glad I picked it up in the store. I got it for myself, and now it's part of my everyday carry for opening boxes, things like that. So check it out. It's a really cool thing to have if you're looking for something that's old, cool, and nostalgic. It's a nice little hand-me-down. You could get these engraved, too. If you go on the website, they'll engrave them for you. They're a nice gift to give. They even have a little kid's model where it's like it's not sharp, but it has like a little rounded, non-pointed blade. And you can have it engraved and keep it as a keepsake for them. So Opinel, this is the Opinel number 8. They come from number 1 to 13. Anyway, have a good night, guys. Talk to you soon.